Well, that's a great question. So when would you start specializing, or should you specialize? So I think, the interesting thing with coaching, the longer you've been around it, the more I realize that you're going to have extremes on both ends. You're going to have kids that are really, really successful that didn't specialize till late, and you're going to have ones that are successful that specialized early. So, but for me, I think the overall athleticism is so important in wrestling. I think, sure, you can be strong, you can know certain wrestling moves, and you can kind of have this isolated skill set that's really good for wrestling. But when you're just a good athlete, good athletes and ones that are, those tend to be the ones that are more coachable, in my opinion. So kids that have athleticism, that have skill-specific hand-eye coordination traits, but also have, or hand-eye coordination, but also have wrestling-specific talents. Those guys who have grown up in a more complex sporting environment tend to be a little more coachable. For whatever reason, I think they're more athletic. They just can do more things, they're more dynamic, and that transfers into the skills that we use on the mat. Oftentimes the ones who have been just wrestling, they're so set in their wrestling ways for so long, they've been doing one thing the whole time, that when they get to college, they're not quite as coachable, in my opinion. They're really hard to change, they're fixed in their ways, they're kind of what they are is what you get, and it's harder and harder to add on to their style of wrestling, if that makes sense.